Okay, hi guys. This is Kevin, CEO here at CoinMetro. I'm sitting in our new office space on the fourth floor of the Fale building here in Tallinn, Estonia. Still a little bit of work to be done. You can see the cable hanging on this side of my head somewhere up above. But I'm in one of our meeting rooms. Lots of work been going on here, not only to set the office up, but also in every other aspect of the business. So I'm going to jump right into it. I see some questions already coming in, so I'm going to start to answer those. And there's some that were sent previously on Intercom and a few other channels, so I'm going to get to those as well. So partnerships being announced. So today I'm not going to make any announcements re-partnerships, but rest assured that there have been and are partnerships currently in the works. And that includes partnerships from companies like blockchain monitoring, like PSPs, e-money companies that we'll be working with, banking partners, all types of different partnerships. However, they're all in various stages of either, let's say, the initial stages of negotiation or in final stages before we sign an agreement, or we may have signed an agreement and just aren't ready yet to make it public for whatever reason. So, but the partnership announcements will be coming, but today won't be. I don't really have anything on my plate as far as partnership announcements go. Thank you, Auntie. So I assume everybody can hear me. If you can't hear me, please post a quick message into Facebook so I can adjust my mic as needed. I see a question from Joe. Why has the exchange release been pushed back? It's my understanding the initial timeline said we would be able to trade the coin live. It's CoinMetro by now. Yep. Joe, you're perfectly correct. The initial timeline was that we would actually mint the tokens. I believe it was at the end of April, actually. Actually, it was at the end of March, and then we traded in April. So a lot of things have happened since then. So we've, unfortunately, you can't have perfect hires on every time you make a hire. And so we've had some movement in the dev cycle and moved some devs in and out, have hired new devs, transferred some development guys from one project to another, and obviously that can cause a little bit of delays. And we've also kind of changed a bit the way the overall functionality of the core of the exchange actually functions. So initially we were looking to do kind of a complete MERN stack Node.js exchange engine. And that has morphed over time into to combine C++ for speed. So that required us to make a few changes here and there, and also find developers that actually work on C++ aside from our CTO, who's a C++ expert in his own right. So that caused us to extend a bit. Also, we can't really go live even with a demo before our license is in place. So we have a deadline. There's a deadline for that license to actually be issued to us here in Estonia by May 13th. So we're still waiting. It's not yet May 13th, and unfortunately regulators usually like to come out on the very last day that they possibly can, so I'm kind of used to that. So that's also a bit of a reason why there's been a delay. We actually had our Russian developers in town along with our CTO. I was here with them on Sunday and Monday here in our offices, and we went through a lot of stuff, a lot of business rule sets, and a lot of other things that'll be added into this exchange so that we can get it functional and online. And we actually found a few small bugs when we were going through testing, so those things are getting hashed out as well. So I'm actually waiting on a finalized release date. We basically mapped out a 4-week development period between now and initial release of the beta. So that does push us out until first week of June. What it does do, however, though, is add some additional feature sets and additional security measures that we wouldn't have had had we not had these meetings. So that's a 4-week push out. I will have the official date sometime in the next couple days, but it looks like it's going to be about another 4 weeks. I am trying to see what we can do as far as those vesting periods and things like that go. Obviously, vesting should start once tokens are minted. However, considering the delay, I'm going to see what I can do there to make some adjustments so that these 30 days worth of delay don't affect too much that vesting period. But more on that next week. This Facebook Live setup I plan to do on a weekly basis now. I'm going to try to be in Telegram a bit more as well, but there's a lot of stuff going on, so it's difficult for me to be there on a daily basis. But I'm going to set some time aside so that we can have one of these Facebook Live meetings once a week. I'm sorry if I miss your questions, by the way, because as I answer questions, I don't necessarily see the questions that pop up on the screen. So you can just go ahead and resubmit if you don't get an answer. What's the plan B? Hi, Auntie. Plan B, can you elaborate on that a bit? Kevin, how's the U.S. licenses looking? So, Rickard, on U.S., so we haven't yet jumped into the U.S. regulatory for the regulatory kind of landscape for the exchange as of yet. We are looking at Wyoming as a possibly initial starting point. And then out of Wyoming, my hope is that the U.S. actually comes out with some national regulation in the near future. It's good and bad. Bad thing would be that if the CTFC, if they do classify crypto as a future, which is what I assume they probably will do, what that means is that all current future regulations are going to apply to crypto, which means no exchange, unless they're regulated by the CTFC in the U.S., will be able to offer services to U.S. residents. It's bad, at least for a short term. It's good because all our competition will no longer be able to offer services to U.S. residents. And it's also good because it means we know exactly where we need to kind of focus our attention in the U.S. If not, it means state by state, every state having different regulations, and it means more time in order to acquire those regulations. So our executive board member, Danny DeGeer, who's focusing really on banking and regulation, more so on the regulation side, will be flying in on Saturday. So I'm meeting with him Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday we're having kind of like a company-wide meeting with compliance, banking, and regulatory and finance. And we're going to map out the roadmap, because the regulatory roadmap has changed since we initially kind of jumped into this because, well, regulations have changed. So we're looking at the UK, Japan, possibly Switzerland, as well as starting to delve into the US to get an idea of the cost, one, and two, the exact way we need to go about pushing into the US. If you're talking about on the ICO side, it looks like we're going to go with have to go with Reg D, so Regulation D504, which means at least for most of the contributors, and those will be the accredited contributors, and anyone that we can that can be classified as accredited. And we're still looking at 2 or 3 other solutions for non-accredited. So we're going through the Reg D filing kind of back and forth right now with a new legal team. Unfortunately, this is the 4th legal team in the U.S. And we're looking at other options right now to complete that, so we can make sure that all U.S. contributors that are in are still in. And I expect to have some news of that over the coming couple weeks. So when we do our next Facebook Live next Friday, hopefully I'll have some more insight on that specific topic. Carol Braga, I'm not sure who comes in first here. I'm going to go to David first. David Homer, hi Kevin, can you tell us about your referral program strategies? I think it's crucial to have a good referral program. So yeah, David, the referral program will remain. So if you have if you were an ambassador and you brought people in as an ambassador, those will remain your clients. The percentage of the fees that we're going to pay, I can't give you those numbers. Basically because we started to go over numbers this week here at the office in finance to see, because obviously we're already offering quite a substantial discount to most exchanges, right? So default rate at 0.1%, 0.075% for all contributors to the ICO, 50% of that going to makers on the exchange. So adding in another level of, let's say, discount, referral bonus, whatever, cuts really deep into the overall, let's say, profitability of the company. So we need to figure out what that level is going to be, but there will be a referral program. I don't know what Binance's referral program is, to be honest, off the top of my head. I do know Binance charges more than us, double, more, and in some cases even more than that. So obviously they have a little bit more of a cushion. I agree that referral program is important, but I'm not sure if it's more important than great customer service, low commissions, and paying makers to come on the exchange. I think those 3 combined, I think with a referral program, those 4 combined make us almost unstoppable comparison to everybody else. But we will be coming, so in one of these next updates, whether it be this next week or the week after, I will make sure that I'm going to write this down or type this down right now so that I come back with you with more specifics on that referral program. From Jeremy, what is the update on the Ripple partnership? Okay, so I've been playing cat and mouse with the director of XRP markets. So I don't yet have any more information on the Ripple partnership. What I can say is from the standpoint of offering Ripple as a cross on our platform, I see no reason not to do it. Whether you like Ripple or you don't like Ripple, the more liquidity we can add on the platform, the better. So Ripple has a substantial amount of liquidity, obviously. So I will be having that talk at some point. Again, we've been playing cat and mouse. Usually it's me who is the mouse, where the cat is trying to chase me, and I always have something to do, and I'm running around like crazy. But this time I'm actually the cat, and XRP Markets is the guy from XRP Markets tends to travel a lot, so he's been hard to get into one place at one time. But I will over the next week or so. And another thing I will type down and make sure that we have an update. I have an update for that for you for next week. Do you have from Stefan, do you have yet at least an approximate release date for the exchange platform? Yeah, approximate right now is first week of June for the beta launch. That's approximate. It's roughly a month late, a little more than a month, 6 weeks maybe, from what our initial estimate was, but there's additional feature sets added in. And essentially, we're basically creating part of the system we're going to need for TAM and the ETCF so that we can ensure that those are delivered on time or maybe even before the initial roadmap. So while the exchange takes a bit longer to get into beta, it should keep us on track for everything else. So it's you take the good with the bad, but fortunately there is some good to come with the bad. Carol, we did not sell out in the ICO in part due to the bearish market, but the marketing lacked after some other projects at the same time sold out. What are you working on to improve our marketing? Hey, Carol, yeah, you're right. I'd be the first one to tell you that out of everything we did internally, I would say marketing was probably one of our least, let's say our least, I don't know the diplomatic word here, but let's just say marketing lacked. I think that's the easy way to put it. So. We've already made some changes on our marketing team. We brought on some new people to our marketing team, including our director of content, global content, Alex. So he's been with us now for a bit. We've got Julia, who works on our email marketing and other facets, CRM, and has been tasked with a few other projects. We have Niels that's focusing on Google AdWords, paid advertising, et cetera, et cetera. So we've already started to expand the team. So that's one thing that we've done. Two, we actually have a very large, I'd say a rather professional seminar, or not a seminar, maybe a workshop, internal workshop that's going to happen towards the end of this month, which is going to basically take all the things we've done about branding, strategy, and marketing plan, and we have a professional workshopper, a marketer coming in that will basically take all that information and redraft it into a more agile strategy and then a more agile marketing plan. So on the face of that, we've been working with both people internally in the company and also external with agencies to make sure that the plan that we do put in place will allow us to be on Twitter and Google and Facebook and all these places that either have or plan to restrict ads for crypto companies. So I think the bearish market played a rather big role in our ICO. Definitely marketing played a big role as well. Had we done perfect marketing, we probably would have sold a bit more for sure. Had we done flash sales the whole time and done one every week instead of every other week, or only flash sales, we probably would have done better. So there's a lot of things that we learned from in the process. Obviously, marketing for an exchange, marketing for a fintech platform is much different than marketing for an ICO, and we know that. But we definitely see the error in the ways on many things that were done and many things we didn't do that we should have done. And the best thing you can do as a company to make sure that you stay relevant is to learn from your mistakes. So as long as you can do that, and as long as you continue to push forward, and when you find a problem, you fix it, and when then that's the best you can do, right? So that's what we've been doing, and we'll continue to do that. Did you launch your app on iOS? Hi, Tobias. So the iOS app, that's a good question, actually. To be honest, I actually don't know if we launched it. I know that it was ready to be launched. At least the first initial push. I believe it actually was launched, and we're actually continuing to work on updates to make sure that it has the same feature sets and is ready to actually connect to the API of the exchange, as is the Android app. So under my understanding, yes, it has been launched. I don't know if it's been approved by the Apple Store, but before we hang up this conversation, I'll get an update on that for everybody. Any update on KYC for U.S. pre-ICO investors? Hey, Eric. Update for KYC. Well, everybody has to do KYC. If you're a U.S. person, your KYC will remain pending. If you're an accredited U.S. person, that KYC will more than likely go into the approval process over the next week to 10 days, as we now are filing for Regulation D 504 for those accredited investors. If you're a non-accredited investor, it's probably going to stay pending for a bit while longer. Just rest assured that we are working on it. It's not because we're just not looking at your profile. We've seen it, trust me, and we're just looking for the right solution for everybody. Any updates on banking partners? Will you be able to launch the exchange with fiat pairs? Hey, I'm probably pronouncing it. I don't even know if I can pronounce your name, my friend. I apologize, but Eoin, maybe? I'll say Mr. Sutton. How's that? For banking partners, we now are working with 2 different e-money providers currently that for Euro. So Euro looks like almost a sure possibility for the beta launch. For USD, we have 2 or 3 banking applications in process that allow us to process USD in the Middle East, and we're looking for options elsewhere. We also have a bank that we're currently in process with here in Estonia, which would be Euro only, actually. So we just kind of broaden our Euro possibilities. And I did this meeting that I spoke about that we're going to have Saturday, Sunday, and Monday here with Danny DeGeer is also based on banking. So Euro, I'm confident we'll have for the beta launch. US dollar, so far still kind of up in the air, though it may be a possibility. However, just again, this is something obviously that's high priority. So we're constantly looking for different partners that we can possibly partner with. We do have we have 2 USD options. We're kind of in the process of either application process or initial negotiation process where they've accepted let's say the type of business we're in, which is difficult, and they've accepted more or less our business strategy, and now we're kind of negotiating fees and going through the application process. So it's possible, but in a month it might not be possible. It's a rather short period of time for a bank to make a decision on a high risk account, which we are according to banks, just because of the general nature of third-party funds and cryptocurrency. But Euro does look like it will be ready for the beta launch. Eric, thanks. So for those non-accredited investors, are we still assured to get coins? As I said, Eric, my goal is that everyone that has already contributed remains with their tokens. This is a recorded session and it's not a one-on-one, so I can't really go into why I'm making that assurance. But there are ways to ensure that those tokens are, let's say, allocated to all those U.S. investors. There are ways that we can get it done legally and by the book. It really is a business strategy. We're kind of going through the business strategy workflow to figure out exactly what the best option is, not just for us as a company, but also for all of you guys that are waiting for an answer. So it's not that we want guys sitting around and waiting. That's obviously not something that we actually want to do, but in order to make sure it's done right, it means getting it done right. And unfortunately, when we ask, let's say, 15 different let's say legal teams in the US, we got 14 and a half different answers. So it's not so clear cut, even though it really should be. But we do think we're on the right path and that we're crafting out the correct route. So for accredited investors, the route is crafted, Regulation 504D. For non-accredited, it's still being crafted, but we do think we're on the right path. So I would expect to have some more clarity on that over the next coming weeks. Point is that my goal is to have this completely cleared before we go into that beta launch, so that when the token is minted and available for trading, everybody's able to trade it and not just a certain subset of our client base. Hi Matt, so have you got all the right developers that you need? I don't think any company can say they ever have all the right developers they need. So my answer to that would be no, we don't. We're always looking for new talent, and if you know somebody, or maybe you're a talented developer, let us know. Obviously, right now, what we're focusing on, when you go from like 0 to 100 in 3 seconds, which is essentially what we did when we went from the inception of the company into ICO, you don't have the luxury of being able to put everybody in the same office. It's impossible, right? Usually, it's impossible. So we had people all over the world. now that we have obviously a bit of capital and a bit of resources, we want to try to get everyone in the same office. Now, doing that in talent, unfortunately, has been a bit difficult. There is talent here, but unfortunately, they tend to get headhunted and pulled out of the country, or already have a job and are hard to kind of pull from that job. So we've had to look elsewhere. Now we're about to open an office in the Ukraine, which is going to focus on support, but we also are going to probably have some developers there. So right now we're kind of looking to see what type of UI, UX, and front-end, back-end, Node.js development that we can house in the Ukraine as well. Because if we get everybody under one roof and we have a nice supervisor hierarchy, and we can have kind of one single point of failure, at least when it comes to being able to oversee these people and making sure that people arrive on time, that they're doing their work, that all tasks are manageable, that's probably the way we're going to go, at least initially. But that doesn't mean that we won't have still, remote workers working, because remote workers are great when you need additional help. It's an easy way to expand quickly. So yeah, the short answer to your question is no, we don't have everybody we need. And the long answer is, or the slightly longer answer is, we're always going to be looking. Even when you think you have all the right people, you should still be looking. That's essentially how the development market is, because you really never know if you have all the right people, because maybe they can cover the tasks that you asked for them today, but maybe the tasks that you're asking them to do are actually tasks from yesterday. So you always have to be ahead of the game and ahead of the curve. Any plans to have partnerships lined up for new ICOs to be developed and released in the CoinMetro platform? For sure, Carol. Yeah, we've already kind of started some of those partnerships, and that was with rating agencies and community management agencies and other type agencies. So again, the reason why these things haven't been announced is because, announcing them now is kind of just cheap PR. I'd rather announce them when we're ready to actually put these guys into production. So cheap PR, can be nice, I guess, and a lot of companies in the space like to just shoot out, we're partnering with, I don't know, whoever who is, going to build flying cars that can, Bitcoin shoots out the exhaust pipe or something. I mean, that's great, but until the actual business comes to fruition, until we're ready to roll, I don't really see too much reason just to try to pick up some PR. But yes, your answer to your question is yes, 100%. With the ICO Express, we do want to have an ecosystem where we can not only vet ICOs to make sure that we bring on projects that we do feel are going to have some meaningful impact on the industry, but also where we're able to help them where they need help, and not just to have some revenue, even though obviously there will be some revenue tied to that. That's not the main goal. The main goal is to make sure that the projects that go on our platform are actually successful, and that they're listed with us, and that we only list vetted successful tokens on our exchange. Eric, continuing for non-accredited U.S. investors, are we not able to join airdrop due to pending regulation, correct? Yeah, correct. The reason why, to be honest, is that no one can give us a straight answer on whether or not the airdrop giving away quote-unquote free tokens tied to some future event is still not falling under some type of U.S. regulation, which is a bit ridiculous. I mean, on the face of it, it looks like it's not, but there's still some caveats there. Main caveat being that we're still giving away, under the eyes of the SEC, securities, and we might be giving them away, but if they're still classified as securities, we have to make sure that giving these securities away doesn't require some type of additional vesting, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So instead of making our lives more difficult and then giving away a bunch of tokens we had to take back in the end, we decided to do the simple route, at least for that aspect, and just not allow non-accredited investors into the airdrop, unfortunately. Lviv is a quality city off the grid from the Lviv is a quality city off the grid from tech resource management. Yeah, well, we had a choice in Ukraine: Kharkiv, Lviv, and Kiev. And obviously, Kiev is the bigger city, so it had a little bit more access to developers. But initially, our idea was to do support. And we found a great agency to work with that had offices in Lviv. We visited those offices. We met with the people. We met the workers, and it was just there was a lot of synergies between our two companies. But now this company also has offices in other parts of the Ukraine, but they also have offices in Poland and Macedonia as well. So there's different areas from where we can pull qualified developers. And look, if there's a qualified developer that lives in Kiev and we have to pay him a bit more money to relocate to Lviv, so be it. When will initial alpha launch? So we're actually not doing an alpha launch. We're just going to It's Friday, I apologize. We're going to jump right into beta, and the beta we have scheduled basically for 4 weeks from now. That's our tentative date right now. Next week I'll be able to set a more exact date, but after mapping out with our developers that were here this past Sunday, Monday, we were able to basically map out 4 weeks to get the current bugs that have been found on our side ironed out, as well as connecting the GUI and getting everybody ready to jump in, and then start to do a stage beta where we allow in X amount of people, and those X amount of people help us get through the first stage, tell us what features they want to see, what features they think are lacking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and allow us to quickly go through different iterations and add in more people and more people and more people over time until we reach a critical mass where now we see that everything's functioning correctly, and that we have a consensus basically on what features are available and what features should be developed in the future, and then we jump into production. Could you say who runs HR and recruitment is getting? Hi, Matt. So we have an internal HR director. Her name is Christy. She works here at CoinMetro. She's on the 6th floor. Just so everybody knows, we have the 4th and a half, 5th, and 6th floors for the office, so she's on the 6th floor. She's a great lady, and she knows what she's doing. Obviously, when you go through a startup, the HR process can be slightly overwhelming at first. So we have, not only do we have Christy here, but we're also working with 2 local recruiting agencies. One being HR Factory, who's probably the main recruiter, and CVO. HR Factory here, well, both of the recruiting agencies look outside of Estonia as well. It's not just internal. And then with our partner in the Ukraine, which is Symphony. So you can look up, I think it's symphony.eu. You can check out their website. They have their own recruiting. I think they have a team of 5 or 6 recruiters. And they, over the next week or so, are actually going to start recruiting on their side based on the specifications we've given them, and based on their own experience of recruiting support and recruiting Node.js and front-end developers and UI UX guys. And we've created a profile that we want to see. So we actually have quite a team of recruitment going on. It's not just external, and it's not just internal, and it's not just in Estonia. So Stefan, so on the ICO Express tool from the platform, can you as well create the token or just list? The ICO Express will allow people to create the token. So basically, as the tool evolves, it'll become more of a tokenization platform, so not just for ICOs. And initially, we're going to use our contract as kind of a base, so that all the different feature sets our contract has, people will be able to either use or not use. And then as we get new requests for different types of contracts, either on different blockchains, or also just different types of things people want to see that we haven't yet coded, we will create those in modules, let's say, and then people will have those different options. So it'll basically be like basically filling out a form, and then clicking some multiple choice kind of boxes to figure out what kind of modules you want, and that'll create the actual smart contract, which will be able to then go into ICO. We have our token, our Go platform, which essentially is a token sale platform, which we will be able to brand for those companies, so they'll be able to use that to accept all their contributions. And then once the ICO ends, they'll be able to choose either if their token is available on our exchange immediately or at a certain set date after the ICO ends. When Moon? At least there's no meme. I'm not a fan of memes, but when Moon. So I don't know. And look, if anybody tells you that they can accurately predict the movement of a token, I would take that with a very large grain of salt, like humongously large grain of salt. So obviously, it's in all our best interest here. And when I say all our best interest, I mean my best interest, everybody that's sitting in this office's best interest, and everybody that's probably on this chat's best interest to see our token gain value over time. And the way we can do that is to make sure that not obviously releasing everything exactly when we thought we were going to release it based on an initial roadmap we created 6 months ago before development was even really started. But it also means that we make sure that we do it right. We do it right. We create something that actually works. We create something that has some innovative tools, and it's marketed correctly, and that we support it. So doing those things will mean that our token rises in value. We really do have, especially we've been going over business strategy here the last couple of days, and that means how the commissions will work, how XCM plays a role, how the utility token plays a role with all the different transactions that happen on our system. And I can tell you that it's quite a complex system, but it really is going to have a lot of value in how it creates demand for XCM, truly. So my job as CEO is to make sure, again, getting everything done based on an initial roadmap would be, the best of all worlds, right? But my job is to make sure that we get things done, but we get things done correctly, we get things done right, we get things done, we create a mature product that is stable and that people want to use. And that's how you get, to the moon, to Saturn, to Pluto, to, Uranus, I don't know, whatever planet floats your boat, or whatever heavenly body you may want to arrive to in your little crypto rocket ship. The way you do that really is by creating a mature product. And sometimes creating a mature product means getting frustrated and a couple of screaming and yelling every once in a while, and people being upset at you because you miss a few things or business strategy changes course a few times. But the main point is that everybody here is focused on that one thing. That's what we all want to do. So we just need to make sure we do it right. Matt, with Ethereum continuing to appreciate in value, does this effectively give you more funding? Actually, we're still not yet back at the rate where we accepted the average contribution rate. Average contribution rate, I believe, on Ethereum for us was something around 900 euros, so 1,100 US. On Bitcoin, it was about 12,000 US, 12,500 US. So we haven't yet got back to the point where we're break even, but obviously if it continues to rise after, we will be holding a certain amount of crypto for sure. There's, as a company, you need to make sure you manage your risk, and holding everything in crypto carries a certain amount of risk for sure. But I wouldn't be in this business if I wasn't bullish on the market as a whole, which means that we will be holding some amount of crypto, and that means that over time, as it appreciates in value, obviously it means that we have more money to be able to attack this problem we have of creating a business that basically turns a huge amount of revenue. So yes, essentially. Be patient and enjoy the ride for about 2 years. Yeah, we've seen companies like our friends Binance. I'll say them by name. I'm not going to say anything bad about them, so I'll say them by name. We've seen our buddies over there at Binance in 9 months do things that seem almost impossible, and most of that's not due to anything they really did. It's just due to timing and a bullish market, right? And the fact that they may have been slightly better at some things than anybody else was. And as markets mature, what happens is it gets more difficult to be able to create a product that can see that type of, let's say, expansion when it comes to growth or whatever. It doesn't make it impossible, but it makes it more difficult. Which means you have to come to market with something that's actually better than everyone else, not just topically better, or not just one step above terrible, and that requires time, unfortunately. And regulation is changing, and we're going to have to be, and we are, constantly looking at regulatory changes and making sure that we adapt and that we're looking in the right places and that we're bringing on people that know what they're doing in terms of regulation, whether it be regulation as far as licensing or whether GDPR here in the EU, which GDPR and blockchain is like just doesn't really work. So there's a lot of things that need to be looked at, and this does take time. 2 years is, in a normal business world, if you launch, if you were to open a restaurant, nobody would expect you to make $1 billion month 2 in your restaurant. These things take time. Usually, normal businesses, startups take 2 to 5 years to actually get into profitability. Now, in crypto, in these new kind of initial bubble phases. Because all industries go through bubbles, multiple bubbles, and once one bubble pops, another bubble emerges. That's just the way things go. But in a market like this, in this like initial kind of bubble phase, obviously it's easier to see that type of success because, well, there's just not much competition, and where there is competition, it's very easy just to kind of go one step above. Like I said, one step above terrible is, horrendous, or maybe one step above horrendous is terrible. And being terrible isn't all that difficult. It's a little harder than being horrendous, but at the end of the day, it's not like rocket science here. So when you think about that, it's not going to take 2 to 5 years, that's for sure, but it's not going to take 2 months. So there needs to be an amount of patience, but we also can't be complacent. There's a fine line between being patient and then just being complacent, where you just kind of sit back and wait forever. So I don't want you guys to be complacent, but I would like a little bit of patience, and I say that to myself as well, and everybody here in our office, everybody we work with. Being patient can be difficult. Don't be complacent. Still put pressure, ask the right questions, be demanding, but remember that patience is a virtue. Cameron, what will be the commission on trades? Low comms, good GUI, good analytical tools. So commission on trades, default rate 0.1%. Default rate for all contributors to the ICO, 0.075%. On the maker side, all qualified maker trades, so all limit orders in the book that are qualified limit orders, will actually be paid initially 50% of all commissions paid by the taker. That means if you put a limit order for a buy and tomorrow it gets filled and someone pays 0.1%, you get 0.05% of that. You get 0.05% of that trade as a commission, or half of the commission paid to the company. So those are the default rates. We're still working on other things like rebates for the ambassador program, as well as possible additional rebates based on the amount of XCM you hold on your account, and those we still haven't gotten to yet because it's part of like the next talks that we'll have over the next couple weeks. But those are your default rates. Carol, can you reopen the sales if unlocking has only happened? Hi, Carol. Actually, that's a question I want to pose to the community, right? And I know that reopening sales, people see this as something bad because they feel that a burn is better than additional funds in the company, and I can see how that's a good thing, but I can see how the other side is a good thing. So my open question to the community is this: what would the community feel if we decided to maybe do another flash sale, or maybe 2, between now and when we actually launch? We wouldn't charge less. They wouldn't pay less money than any of you paid for your tokens. They would pay the current rate, 12 cents, until they were sold out, and then it would go to 13. So, I can see benefits on both sides. Obviously, more capital for us means that we have more of a cushion, that there's more stability on our side, that we can, our burn rate can last longer, et cetera, et cetera. It means, yes, we'll probably burn less tokens. Okay. And initially, the amount of tokens, the amount of liquidity that's out there on the market, initially can mean some volatility to the downside. But over the course, we will be burning tokens, and not only will we be burning tokens, but over the course, as demand rises, the amount of liquidity plays less of a role in the overall valuation. So I can see both sides. But yeah, open question to the community. I think we'll probably open this up on Telegram as well. But my open question to everyone is, what would you feel, how would you feel if we reopen the sale? We're not going to offer any other discounts. It's just like a regular flash sale. We would do it probably only for people in Telegram. We've brought on a lot of people for the airdrop. There's now 22,000 people. The last time we had a sale, I think there was 12 to 13,000. So there's 7,000 or 8,000 people there that were never able to purchase. And there's some people on there that purchased that would want to purchase again. So let us know. Send us an email, send us a chat message, post here, post on Telegram. Let us know what you think, because we generally were thinking not to do it, but obviously it's been in our minds as well, so we'd like to know. As long as you improve the market, we can sell more. Selling more now is a cushion for the people who bought before. I agree, Carol. I agree. I'm okay with the further flashing, but initially release the exchange first. Okay, Matt. Actually, well, once we release the exchange, we mint the token. Once we mint the token, we can't have a flash sale because we're not going, theoretically we're burning these tokens, but basically what we're doing is we're only going to mint how many we've sold. So right now we've sold like 128 million roughly. That means we would mint 328 million. So once we mint them and the beta launches and you're able to sell them, we have no others to actually sell on a flash sale. So it would have to be before. It couldn't be after. Yeah, so the unlocking. I mentioned this in the beginning of this chat here. So I can't say this is official yet, but what I plan to do, what I'd like to do, if it's feasible, is these 30 days worth of delay, approximately, won't affect vesting. Meaning that we will, let's say, start vesting from May 1st. so that if you had to invest for 3 months, by August 1st, you'd be able to actually sell those initial part of those tokens instead of having to wait an additional month because of the delay. Not an official. This is not official from me yet, but it's what I'm thinking of doing. So hopefully next week I'll make something official. But right now I can't make it official because I have to discuss it internally. But that's the idea right now. Hey Christian, sure, we have enough money to build the business. But I think a lot of people, what they fail to realize, let me just give you a really quick example, right? With 80 support people in the Ukraine, okay, 10 in Mexico, 10 in Macedonia, and a staff of about 22 people here in Tallinn, which is upper and middle management and senior support staff, with $750,000 for marketing, $750,000 for miscellaneous expenses, and everything else that's needed to run the company. We're going to spend roughly 4.5 million euro a year. Okay, so that means that by year 2 we've spent 9 million. So that means we have, with the current rates actually, we have less than 2 years worth of funding, about a year and a half. Okay, obviously if crypto continues to rise, that could be 2 years, it could be 2.5 years, right? But right now it's a year and a half, and that's not that conservative. That's almost spot on. Okay, that's a year and a half. Now, obviously, once we start to see revenue, then, well, great. But if it takes us 6 months or 8 months to actually start to see revenue, which could happen, you always have to play devil's advocate in these things. You can never say, oh, well, 100,000 clients a day, we're going to see revenue. In 3 months, you know, we're all going to be trillionaires running around in underwear and having parties. That's great, right? But you always have to look at the worst side of the coin. You never want to look at the best side. So looking at the worst side, that's a year and a half of funding. That's pretty tight. The more money we have, the more cushion we have, the more cushion we have. Not only that, but the more people we can hire. That means maybe we can hire 120 people in support initially and not 80, and make sure that we're ready for even more demand that may come. It also means that regulatory, that 4.5 only includes probably 2 licenses. I would rather have 3, 4, or 5 licenses, but that induces more offices, more staff. It induces regulatory costs and minimum capital requirements, which depending on the licensing can be anywhere from 100,000 euro to 10 million euro. So more money helps. That's the point. Can we build the business with what we have? Yes, we can. Can we do everything we wanted to do with what we have? No. Arun, will crypto fiat trading be open from exchange loans? So I touched on this as well. So we currently have the possibility for Euro fiat. And I believe right now it's for our group company, our holding company, which means it's for company money, let's say. But we should be able to use the same partnerships for client money as well. And we're working on that as we speak. So Euro will more than likely, I'm pretty confident Euro will be available around the initial launch. USD and other currencies, we're still working on those banking relationships. Though I'm fairly confident that we will have additional banking relationships once we get into the beta and through the initial part of the beta. So as we get, announcing those is a little bit difficult because when you have a relationship, a lot of these banks and a lot of these banking e-money and things like this, I don't want every single crypto company to go to these guys because it'll probably mean that accounts start to get shut down. So making them public, at least initially, is kind of tough to do, let's say. Not for any transparency reason, for the only reason that, hey guys, we're banking, or we have Euro accounts with X, and then every other crypto company with banking issues, which is every other crypto company, by the way, will end up approaching them, and then if one of those guys is a bad actor or a bad apple, it affects everyone. Hi Christian, I agreed to some rules in January, February, and you changed it. Rules, can you define what rules means? If you mean, and agreed, because if you're talking about the roadmap, for example, you didn't agree to the roadmap. If you read the terms of service, that roadmap is changeable 100%. And to be honest, roadmap should be changeable. I mean, not that a company sets out trying to change the roadmap, but if a roadmap is inflexible, if we were to build inflexible roadmaps, 99% of companies that build a roadmap would never actually open their doors, because as soon as they missed on one detail of the roadmap that they created way before they even started usually a development process, then there'd be a lot less innovative companies out there for sure. Hey George, yeah, I agree. Again, this flash sale would just be internal, so it would be Telegram. So marketing would be through Telegram, and I agree. Yeah, GUIs. Look, we have GUI mockups. I've seen 7 or 8 iterations so far. Some of them are actually pretty good. I haven't released them only because I don't yet have one that I really think is ready for everyone's eyes that I want to get feedback on, though I expect to have one soon, very soon, and then we will release it. But I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But I wouldn't plan on releasing this to the public, meaning that we would open up marketing and spend money on marketing and see how many external people we could get in. I don't think we need to do that. I think we keep it internal. We have almost 10,000 people that didn't have a chance to actually buy in, and we have a mailing list of 40,000 with 7,000 contributors. So obviously, we don't really need to go external. It's all about internal. But I agree that we will need to provide some additional information, some additional updates to those people to make sure that that it entices them to buy. Hi Daniel. Yeah, debit card. So the one thing with the debit card is, we've been waiting actually for some bank relationships to come through so that we could actually pay for the setup of the debit card. However, debit card, once we do that, which I think we're going to do it next week actually, so that's pretty cool, will only take about 30 to 35 days to set up. Then it comes from the API side. So yes, on tap for July, 100%. What do you think about Robinhood? Hey Edward. I'll tell you this. I saw the Robinhood CEO at Slush in Tokyo, and my overall idea of him was quite low after I saw their ICO and some of the things that they mentioned about their tech. Node.js doing 1 million trades a second, and no fee crypto exchange when their deposit and withdrawal fees are quite high, and they charge 5% for margin lending. So not a very high. Didn't really hold him in high esteem, let's say. But I saw him speak, and he touched on a few points about regulation. He touched on a few points that I agree with. And so I think if we sat down together, we probably would find some things that we agree upon, which is great. He was pro-regulation, at least at his talk at Slush. And any CEO of a crypto company that's pro-regulation is in my good list. I don't really care about competition. What I care about is competition that runs their business as if it was, a lemonade stand. If every crypto company out there was regulated, was looking for regulation, and ran their business as if they were regulated and compliant, I'd be a happy man. Every country needs at least one crypto exchange, and probably multiple in most countries. Every country is going to need a regulated environment to trade tokens. One company can't do all that, unfortunately. It's just not going to happen. One company can't take the lion's share. Over time, there's going to be many companies, It all depends on regulation too, but the fact that, what hurts us more than what helps us is that when one of these crypto CEOs comes out and bashes regulation, says that it's not needed, says that, crypto's for the people and blah, 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 which, you can be ideological all you want, but the fact is we live in the real world and regulation is going to come. I've been saying this forever. Now it's coming and people are starting to realize. So if Robinhood is for regulation, I like them, period. And I hope every single one of our competitors goes pro-regulation, because it's not going to hurt us, it's only going to help us. Because if the regulator sees that the industry on a whole is starting to grasp the fact that regulation is needed, then all it does is make our jobs easier and makes licensing easier and makes it easier for us to present our company to banks and regulators. Because when we walk in the door and all they see on our faces are bad things, not because I'm a bad guy or CoinMetro is bad or whatever, but they've read in the paper about all these bad actors, it's not good. It's not good for the industry. So my view of Robinhood has been slightly pushed up since I saw him at Slush, and hopefully one of these days we'll be able to sit down for a coffee or something and actually talk some shop. And anyway, I think it would be a good thing. I actually have, before we end this, I have some things that I want to discuss, so remind me if I'm about to hang up or something and we haven't discussed, but generally on kind of almost partnerships with other exchanges. So I have some news on that front. Is there a date for listing on CMC, CoinMarketCap? No. Once we mint, we'll list. So minting should happen. I would like minting to happen. Well, we may mint before the beta launch, but I don't want to distribute until the beta launch. I want to control as much as I possibly can the initial distribution of tokens so that people don't run on EtherDelta or other decentralized type exchanges to trade XCM. I want to be able to control that, not because I want to control, not because I'm trying to control the market, but because I want to make sure from almost like a PR kind of marketing standpoint. I just want to make sure that we can basically see where all these kind of transactions are taking place. So and try to basically control supply and demand, at least initially. So. Christian, burn, promote the coin to raise its value, and you'll have money for the licenses you need. Great. We will burn for sure. Again, don't equate. You shouldn't make the mistake of equating supply and demand and liquidity to rise in value of price, because unfortunately there is little to no correlation. The main correlation in the crypto space for rise in price is hype. That's it. So I agree with you to the point, look, having less liquidity in a mature market usually correlates to demand, but not always. So I agree with you, but you always have to play devil's advocate. You always have to look at the worst possible scenario. So it'll take time to burn. It'll take time to promote. If it takes more than a year and a half, we have no more money in the worst case scenario. So that's, again, the idea to do another sale was brought up by a client of ours here, a contributor. It's something obviously that's gone through our minds, but it's not something we planned on doing. However, if it's something that the majority of contributors or people who couldn't contribute that are in our Telegram or here on Facebook actually want to see, maybe it's something we consider doing. What will be the role of FXPig? Oh, I missed most of the question, but the role of FXPig. So FXPig obviously has provided me, has provided some of our staffing initially, provided some of the basis for how we built some of our initial tech, is providing the base for how we're building some of our current tech, will provide in the future liquidity for different types of assets depending on the regulation CoinMetro acquires. We'll kind of start to do some cross developments so that we can trade XCM at FXPig and trade exchange grade liquidity at FXPig, so that everybody of our clients at FXPig will be able to provide liquidity back on our platform. So all those things will start to commence more once the actual production exchange is live and actually functioning. TradeView, no. Well, as far as charting, ChartIQ is who we're going to use. So creating a charting library right now is just, we need to focus on other things. We may do that over time. After looking at ChartIQ, there are some things we'd like to create on our own, so we probably will. When it comes to the GUI and everything, it's all ours. But charting, the charting library is from ChartIQ. We don't use TradingView because personally I don't like TradingView. And most of the packages people use are free packages, and even their paid-for packages, and I just don't like it personally. So we chose to use ChartIQ. Hey Jeremy, sure, I agree with you. Look, from an update set, I like doing these things. I actually like sitting here and taking questions. It's one of the most enjoyable parts of my day, week, month, whatever, and that's why I did it so much initially. And I'd love to continue to do it all the time. Unfortunately, as we start to expand here, my time becomes very limited. And I think I saw some comments that I didn't comment on, but when I was in Paris Disney there with my two daughters, for 2 days, after a very, I must say, one of the better business meetings I had in Zurich on that Thursday, Friday, which I'll come to here in a bit. I think it's the first time that I was actually alone with my daughter for a whole 2-day weekend in three and a half years. So I got some flack for that. And, people, obviously, I don't come on here every day to tell people what I'm doing. Like, oh, now I'm putting on my socks. Now I'm going to the office. Now I'm sitting in the office. Now I'm typing. Now I'm in the car going on the way to immigration because blah, blah, blah. I don't generally do that. I'm not a Twitter, Instagram kind of guy, so I'm not used to doing that, but I actually enjoy this interaction, and I wish I could do it much more, and I'm going to do everything I can to try to do it more. Like these Facebook Live things, I think is a great way to do it because you see me, I'm here, you can see the office, we can bring in some other people, and I can do this on a weekly basis. I'm going to try to be on Telegram more, and I know I keep making these promises and then kind of not coming through on them, but it's not because there's nothing to say or I just don't want to do it. It's time. It's simply time. And unfortunately, as you get older and bolder, you tend to have, by 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, I am dead. And then 8 a.m., 7:30 a.m. back up in the morning, see my daughter, see my wife for 10, 15 minutes. I'm in the office. I see him again, for a couple minutes. That's life, and I'm used to it. I'm used to that. But as I get older, the stamina doesn't last as long as it used to. So you tend to have to pack a lot of things into a very short day. Hey, Carol. Yeah, I agree. There's pros, like I said, there's pros and cons on both sides of the coin here, pun intended, for launching new sales, either externally or internally. And again, I just really want to see what the community feels about it. Sorry for speaking so fast. I try to slow myself down, but it's different when I can see the person I'm talking to. When I can't, I see myself. So, like, my voice automatically speeds up because I hope I understand myself. So I apologize for that. I'll try to slow it down a bit. George, flash sales limited to Telegram members only won't be effective. Everyone there who's already contributed are in wait and see mode and less likely to commit more funds. Aim for fresh meat and fresh outside investors. Lead with news like the partnerships with other exchanges you mentioned. Good point, George. Remember, though, that we have 40,000 people on a mailing list, only 7,000 contributors. We have 21,000 people in Telegram, only 7,000 contributors. So there is fresh meat, quote unquote, that are there, and it keeps the opportunity to buy XCM into the community, which may or may not be looked at positively by the community. Would I be against of opening it publicly? No. Would I be against spending a couple €100,000, let's say, on marketing, expecting that to bring more funds? Yes. To be honest, for the flash sales, I'm not sure that traditional marketing actually works. Facebook worked for our old flash sales, our initial flash sales, because we funneled everyone to Telegram first and then marketed via Telegram. Now we have people in Telegram that we can market to. So it's almost the same effect without having to spend the money to get them there in the first place. Hi, Matt. Sure. Obviously, our CTO is probably busier than I. He was here today. He left to go back to his hotel to get some work done. I agree. We can schedule that for sure. I can tell you the progress. If you ask me any specific tech question, I can give you the progress. The progress is we mapped out 4 more weeks that are needed to get the beta launched. Any more specifics on that, you can just ask, and I can answer. Is there a possibility? Sure. Anybody who wants to come and visit, and I don't mean everybody just show up here one day on a bus, but yes, doors are open that someone can come in and visit for sure, and we'd be happy to have you. So you came a little late. Well, sorry. No, just kidding. So if you came in a little late, the projected date right now is the first week of June, 4 weeks from today. I had a meeting at the beginning of this week with our part of our dev team. We mapped out some bugs we found already. We mapped out some features that were basically incorrectly coded. The business rules were incorrect. And we found a list of features that still need to be created. We went through those features. We described them to the development team so that work can start to be done. And we mapped out a 4-week time period and how long this is going to take. Next week, I will have a more exact date. But that's what we have right now, 4 weeks. Hi, Mark. REST API. There is a REST API with the initial beta launch. Fix API is also something we're working on. If it will be launched with the initial beta, I don't think so. Only because we don't want to launch 2 specific channels for orders until we completely bug test one. So go using WebSockets and things like that to test first. Once we know that is sound and we've stress tested with actual beta testers, Then we release the REST API and do the same thing with the REST API. So it would probably be a second or third iteration after the initial beta is launched. Partnerships. I'm not ready to leave yet, but I will. Thank you, Carol. Peter, what's the chance? Well, look, right now that's the date. That's the date we have on hand. That's the date that all our developers agreed is when it should be ready. So what's the chance? I would say it's good. You know, I mean, you can counter that and say, well, you initially said this date. You're right, but that initial roadmap was created in August. So, and to be honest, it's still pretty close to being accurate. I mean, our development schedule has been pretty on point for most things in the overall scope. It's just that really what's changed is the business strategy on how we want to release things and how and to make sure we release enough code base so that the TAM and ETCF happen faster. So yeah, I would say it's still somewhat accurate. And now that obviously we've done most of the work, I would say this estimate is more accurate than the initial estimate. Hi, Carol. So unlocking again. What I want to do is not include this delay in the vesting period. I will make an announcement on that next week, an official announcement, but that's what I want to do. I just need to make sure that we can actually do it. Sure. Look, hey Matt. So I will ask Salvatore to be part of this next week. I don't think he'll be in our offices next week. He'll probably be back in Italy. But there's probably a way to get this done like via Skype or something as well. So I'll see about doing that. But yeah, trust me, we have a CTO. He exists. I'm not just sitting in this 400 square meter office by myself. So yeah, we can work on that for sure. When is the beta expect to be over? That's a good question. It's a question that's almost impossible to answer. So it means when will bugs be found, when will we be finished with stress testing, and when will we get all the feedback from everyone so that we can create so we can recreate or fix or basically draft out all the features and visualizations that everybody agrees they want, like a wish list. My estimation is 3 months. That's my estimation. Hey Peter, I've gotten this. So how about hiring people from first world countries? So this is. I feel like I could almost get. I don't know. Like I feel like even saying this on a recorded session could probably like destroy my career or something. But I don't see any correlation between first world countries and quality developers, like that they only come from first world countries. In fact, I've dealt with a lot of people from third world countries that are excellent developers, and I've dealt with horrendous developers from first world countries. And a lot of third world countries go to the first world for education. So you can't even really use that as an argument. So look, we go where we can find the best developers. If we feel that a developer we found in a third world country is a good developer, we hire them. We don't go, oh, wait a minute, where are you from? Oh, no, you can't work for us. One, that's illegal, so one reason why we wouldn't do that. Two, the place you come from has absolutely no bearing on your skill set or your talent level whatsoever. So if we continue to find people we believe are good hires, I could care less where they're from. So, and we'll continue to do that for sure. Do you have any specific in mind as a pro trader? Hi, Christian. This is going to sound maybe mean, but off the top of my head, I couldn't name you a pro crypto trader. I can name you a lot of crypto traders that made money during the bull run because all they did was buy. But no specific names yet. And actually, we won't be selecting in that essence TAM traders. We will be vetting traders on our platform that wish to manage a TAM to make sure that they fall within certain risk parameters, but we will not be headhunting TAM managers that can specifically manage TAMs. What we will be doing is finding managers and algorithms that can actually handle our ETCFs. But from the TAM side, it's more of someone's a trader on our platform. They say, hey, I'd like to manage a TAM. We analyze their trading that they've done on our platform, and based on a certain set of risk parameters, we either allow them or do not allow them to trade a TAM. So we won't exactly be headhunting people, at least not initially. Slava, so hello Kevin, which fiat pairings will be available first? Are you keeping an eye on other exchanges? Which will add fiat pairings to? Or fee-less exchanges, etc.? Okay, so I'll take that into... so one, do we keep track of competitors? Obviously, yes. Any company that does business needs to keep track of their competitors to a certain extent, because that's how you know what your clients want or don't want, and what mistakes you should or shouldn't make, or what mistakes you shouldn't make, and what things you should do right that maybe they've done right, and what things you should improve on. So yes, crosses. It all depends. Look, I won't offer a cross unless I can offer the depositability in that cross. Because if I can't offer depositability, then there's no liquidity on that cross. So it makes no sense to offer it. Because if I offer, let's say, Swiss francs as a cross, but you can't deposit Swiss francs on the exchange, that means we're doing artificial synthetic exchanges between, let's say, Euro or USD or whatever to Swiss franc, which obviously doesn't make it more liquid and actually brings in more volatility. And on our side, it carries risk. So, and we're not going to handle that type of currency risk because it's a risk for the company. So it's one risk we can mitigate very easily by not doing it. So that means that in order to offer different crosses, we need to have banking available in that currency. So as we add banking and as we have access to multi-currency accounts in those currencies, we will offer those currency and those fiat crosses. I plan to offer as many crosses as I possibly can. So we want to build the book with as many crosses as we can. But we want to be careful not to get too much into the synthetic area, because that means that if we're offering synthetic crosses, we have to actually market make on those crosses for liquidity reasons, which is something I'd rather avoid doing until we have, at some point, a department in the company that can actually handle that and mitigate that risk. On the other hand, you talk about fee-free. So there's no such thing as fee-free, my friends. I know that some people advertise it, but they make their money somewhere, which means you may get something cheaper, but you're going to spend that money somewhere else, whether it's higher spreads, bigger depositor withdrawals fees, higher margin fees, whatever. You're going to spend that money somewhere. So I would rather be, let's say, have an easy kind of flat tax type of commission schedule where it's easy to understand, it's cheap, and the thing works, period. So that's our plan. So I don't think we'll ever go fee-free, though we will at some point be offering like atomic swap type transactions, which more than likely, at least initially, will be fee-free. Depending on how much volume it takes off the exchange, they may end up becoming some type of fee attached. It may be some type of maybe spread fee. I don't know. Obviously, when we do it, it would be transparent, and we would only do it to make sure that we can run the business. It's not so much because we want to become rich and drive Lambos to the moon. It's because we want to make sure we can run the business accurately. And obviously, everybody goes into business to make money, but making money should always be secondary to actually making sure that your clients are happy and that your business is run in a way that's respectable and makes you able to sleep at night. Just need the tech leadership to be driven and queued up. Sir, look, I would say that people from the third world usually are much more driven if you find that type of person, because they have to overcome so much just to do what they're doing in their home country. But look, look, we need good developers. So I don't care if they're from Mars. I don't care if they're from wherever, the Sudan. I mean, wherever. I could care less where they're from, but we need good developers. On top of that, though, you're never going to get 100% perfect hires, unfortunately. HR is always going to be a major focal point in any big company. So you're gonna have bad hires. Just, it happens. Sometimes people are great interviewers and they're shitty employees, and sometimes they're really shitty interviewers. They're really great employees. I mean, so you never really know, and you try your best to make that great decision, but sometimes you make the wrong one. But the point is that you just fix it. That's it. But I agree with you. Look, we need good developers for sure, and we have good developers. But in the past we've had a few that weren't so good. But you know, you just move forward. I mean, that's the way the world works. Do you have any opinion on the one Singaporean exchange that is also focusing on being regulatory compliant? Mats, not sure what exchange that is. My only comment is the same comment I gave earlier. Congrats, applause. I wish every exchange would do that same thing, because once the regulator can look at a crypto exchange and see something good rather than something bad, meaning that there's no bad actors or bad apples in the space, it makes everybody's life easier. It makes my job easier, and it generally doesn't pull away from the market cap, to be honest. There's so much. Right now, the market is small, relatively speaking, but it's only growing. And there's enough out there for everyone, right? So what we need is regulators to be on our side. And for that to happen, we need regulatory compliant exchanges. So every exchange out there that wants to be regulatory compliant, I like them right off the bat. They're my friends. I consider them, you know, my compadres. They're cool. I'm 100% on their side. Hi Kevin, have you considered, instead of offering, say, a pound BTC, convert the GBP to USD via some sort of forex provider, and then only have USD pairs in order to get around the low liquidity in these markets? Well, no, because it's kind of just what I talked about. So if we have to take, if someone has pounds on their account and they want to trade pound BTC, and then we make them basically trade pound dollar first, and then take that money and then trade it into one, they're paying double commissions. And even if we do it on our side, we're going to lose money on a commission base somewhere down the line. And it also means that from our side, we're taking on risk, because we're going to have to hold those pounds somewhere, giving this guy dollars. Then we have to control the risk on that side, either by immediately exchanging on our side and taking a fee, which then probably makes that overall transaction not profitable for us, or we have to hold those pounds and hedge, or not hedge, and take the risk on the fact that we may lose money on that side. So no, at least not initially. There are ways to mitigate risk, and actually we're in talks with a future employee, there may be a future employee, to handle these type of things. To basically create risk mitigation and risk policies and things like that, and manage the book, so to speak. So in the future, perhaps, but that actually becomes quite the ordeal, because, look, our fees are low compared to everybody else, but they are low. And when you tackle in the maker discounts or the maker payouts and the discounts we're offering to everybody, it becomes very difficult for us to actually turn a profit on most exchanges if we have to tack on this additional currency risk. Hi Sean, what is your vision for CM? Top 3, top 5? My vision is that we create the best product that we possibly can, that we create an environment where our clients are happy, that we support them, that all the posts you see online are only about happy CoinMetro clients, and that we gradually expand globally through regional regulation, and that we actually have a foot in the door with the regulator, so that before regulation changes happen, they have to actually consult us to get our opinion. And all that together would put us in the top whatever, top 3, you know. If you try to become the top 3 just based on a commercial aspect, that could be a goal, and that's great. But my goal is just to be good at everything we do. And if we do that, then we become the best, right? Because nobody's good at everything they do, unfortunately. And that's actually a very hard goal to reach. But my goal is to simply, look, I want my clients to be happy. I don't want anybody waiting, 6 months to open an account. I don't want someone who's trying to high frequency trade on our system only being able to open 2 trades a second. I don't want someone to come to our GUI and not even understand how to open a trade. So my goal is to make sure every single one of those pieces is done well and is done right. That's my goal, or my vision. Stance on market manipulation, allowing unfulfilled. Oh, sorry, I missed if you could post that one again about market manipulation, I'm glad to answer it. Estonian license application by May 13th. That's the deadline for them to give us our go-ahead, to approve May 13th. Thanks, Carol. Look, any vision above that is ridiculous, because saying you want to be the number one exchange in the world obviously means you're doing a lot of things right. So I'd rather focus on that. I want to do a lot of things right. And what comes with that is success. Success should be kind of the result. The catalyst, however, needs to be that you're doing things correctly. What's your stance on market manipulation allowing unfulfilled orders and wash trading, which is obviously rife on all exchanges? How are you going to navigate around that? What risk management systems are in place? And are you subject to scrutiny in your operating market in terms of reporting with such potential violations? So right now, as far as regulation goes, regulation is non-existent for this type of thing in the crypto space. But regulations around this obviously exist for equities, derivatives, and every other mature market or slightly immature market place that exists in the world. So we're currently actually going through on our, let's say, business rule sets. And some of those business rule sets revolve around making sure that people can't play around in the book, that people can't go in and purposely place orders at different levels to try to basically arbitrage inside of our own book, that they can't go through and place large orders to push through the book and alter pricing, et cetera, et cetera. And those things, how do we do that? Well, I guess I'm gonna touch base a little bit on this partnership I talked about. So no names yet because we don't have anything signed, so I'm not going to release any names. But in Zurich, I met with a few guys that are opening tokenized exchanges. Okay, so securities exchanges, tokenized securities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We had a great brainstorming session where we basically figured out, well, look, we're all doing the same business, you know. Why not share some liquidity? Sharing liquidity means creating some type of aggregation tool between exchanges where not only we can share liquidity, but we can share data. We can make sure we're not dealing with bad actors. We can analyze, we can map blockchain addresses. We can make sure that we're not dealing with, like I said, bad actors or bad apples. We can also exchange liquidity. We can also have price discovery between our exchanges so we can quickly spot when there's some type of manipulation going on. So that's one piece of the puzzle. Another piece is obviously vigorous risk mitigation inside the company, and that means somebody monitoring the book at all times, making sure that we do have some type of market-making capabilities on our side so that when we do see things are going awry on a certain currency, that we can quickly come in and mitigate those situations. But from the token side, I mean, most of your rife washing and your issues come from very illiquid tokens, at least the majority of issues, right? I know there's been issues, for instance, on some like where the book has been manipulated. Bitfinex said something rather famously when people were going onto their, I believe, their swap book. We had a big conversation here actually 24 hours ago about how our swap book was going to look, and we basically solved the problem that Bitfinex had, on the whiteboard. Yes, we will be doing things. Some of those things obviously are things that will take time to actually create those rule sets, because look, we have rule sets for FX that do this, but they're not going to be the same rule sets because they're not going to apply. Even though it's a similar market and it functions in a similar way, it's not the same market and it doesn't function in the same way. So, but we have experience in doing this, and it's something obviously that we're focusing on. Matt, if there are more flash sales, could there be an office open day first, even if virtual, seeing and meeting the team? Yeah, great idea. We plan to do that anyway, but you can see, hold on one second here, let's see. So I'm actually sitting in a meeting room here. That's our front door. You'll notice though, there's no vinyl stickers yet on this window, and that's something that's coming. And actually right behind me here on this wall will be a big CoinMetro logo, light up logo, and there's still a few things that need to be done. We actually have no lighting yet in this room, so that's also something that needs to be done. So yeah, that was planned actually already, and I think in the next 10 days the office will be quote-unquote finished, at least from a design perspective. And yeah, I think that's a great idea, and we'll do that for sure. I would like to do that anyway. We can do the next Facebook Live maybe with a moving camera, so I can have somebody actually film it, and this way we can walk around the office, we can show everybody what things look like, and meet some of the team. So Carol, I just talked a bit about the partnerships. So one of those partnerships is actually in negotiation right now between two other exchanges that are in process of opening, and that exchange basically will be a swap of liquidity and data, and we will create essentially an institutional aggregation portal for liquidity between exchanges, which we'll be able to market to other exchanges, and which we will pull in liquidity from other exchanges. Inside that partnership, there's also two large ICOs being put together that will only be available. The token liquidity on those two ICOs will only be available via this aggregator. So also we're working at putting together a foundation to go lobby regulators. So there'll be more information on that over the next couple of weeks, but that's one partnership. Like I said, we're currently working on 2 or 3 partnerships with e-money operations in different countries so that we can have some local deposit options for different clients. Those I can't announce yet, and I may not announce them until last minute, only because I don't want other crypto exchanges kind of jumping on the bandwagon. Because one bad actor kills us all, unfortunately. There's a lot of bad actors out there, so that's one. We're also looking at some blockchain mapping to be done on our side to mitigate our own risk and money laundering and things like that on our side, to make sure that our KYC and AML from the exchange side is as adequate as it can be. So we'll probably be announcing a partnership along those lines. And here in Estonia, we're going to be approaching some government agencies here, and we hope to announce a partnership as well here locally in Estonia over the next couple weeks. Those are just a few. I have a lot of things on my desk that deal with partnerships. Unfortunately, some of those partnerships I can't even really tackle until we get later on in the plan, because they're more operational, and until we're operational, it's hard to get the best negotiation. And me as a CEO, my job obviously is to protect my clients and my contributors, but it's also to protect my company and to make sure we get the best deals we possibly can. So I need to make sure I have the upper hand before I get into a negotiation, and that means if it's an operational negotiation, we need to be operating. Yeah, well, marketing will be ramped up for sure. When the beta launches, maybe not yet, because the beta is going to be closed to contributors initially, because that's the best place we can get feedback. Those guys know us the best. But for sure, marketing is going to start to be ramped up once we are getting out of the beta into production 100%. And I think there's going to be a lot of marketing tied around SEO and communities. We have a great plan to pull in communities from the tokens we plan on listing. We have a great plan to take those communities and kind of viralize them inside of our own communities. We have lots of different outside of the box, and we also have plans that revolve around obviously mainstream media and things like that, and podcasts and other things that we plan on doing. So yes, the answer to that is yes. But right into the beta, no, not necessarily. The beta is all about making sure the product is ready for production. So we want to focus on that. And that even comes from marketing. So we will be doing marketing, but that marketing will mainly be around awareness, at least initially, not so much commercial marketing. So how many clients can 80 surpass that well with your experience in FX picks? So I'll give you some numbers, right? So Binance only ramped up to 50 support staff when they had, I think, 25 million clients. That number might be wrong, but it was recent. It was in the last couple months. For me, I think one support staff, if they're well trained, it depends on automation. It depends on your flow. It depends on if your clients even need to ask questions. So the overall simplification idea that we have should reduce the fact. I would say on the FX pig side, just the way the business is, one support guy can handle 1,000 people to 2,000 people, roughly. But on this side, the fact that we're focusing a lot of attention on making sure that the GUI, the GUI, the workflows are simplified, and that we're going to have articles and things like that, and just automate the process of the overall customer support, we should be able to push that to 5,000 to 10,000, I think. And if we can go to that high level, even if we go to 5,000, well, that's what, 4 million, I think. 4 million? No. 4 million. Yeah, 4 million, right? 80,000. No, it's 80,000. It's 400,000. Sorry. It's Friday. Math. So 80 is an initial. I want 80 people in that support office by the end of the summer, into the, let's say, fall, and then quickly I want to be able to expand. So part of the thing we're going to be doing when we create those 80 staff is to also make sure we're expandable and we're scalable, so that we have people almost waiting in the wings to come in, that we can quickly expand that staff when needed. So a lot of this comes down to automation. But let's say we can probably handle around 1 million clients with that 80 staff, plus the 10 in Mexico, plus the 10 in Macedonia, plus the staff we'll have here in Tallinn that'll handle senior support, roughly. Any possibility of listing XCM on other exchanges? Initially, no. It doesn't make any business sense whatsoever to list on other exchanges until we know that demand outpaces supply. So that means there's more buyers than sellers. Once that happens, it still doesn't make any sense until we can't handle the demand. At the point we can't handle the demand, or at the point we see that in a certain amount of time we won't be able to handle the demand, is when it makes sense for us to then start to look at outside exchanges. Hey Carol, yeah, there's lots of partnerships currently in the works with tokens and coins. Well, tokens, more tokens more than coins, obviously. Not announcing them right now because, again, they're more operational. So we did announce one, Digibyte, because they approached us really early in the process and we kind of liked what they were doing. So we made that announcement early. Those announcements will, once we start getting closer to the beta and once we're in the beta, those announcements will come much more frequently. But yes, they're in the works for sure. What does CoinMetro offer that would make people use it instead of other more popular exchanges or even exchanges that offer a percentage of transaction costs? What's an exchange that offers a percentage of transaction costs? I haven't run across that one. But look, with every business, right, with every financial business, one, it's pricing, sure. Pricing, right? If we're cheaper, that's a plus. If we're cheaper and our customer service is on point, meaning that when you open an account, that same day you have your account, you can fund that account in your fiat currency, you could trade. And not only that, when you ask a question, you get an answer to that question from a qualified person, and we're regulated. I think those are already caveats. Now, on top of that, if we're offering, not only are we offering exchange services and trading services and APIs to be able to trade, and tool sets to be able to add some additional weight to your trading experience, meaning that you can have different kind of trade tools, automated trade tools, etc. But on top of that, if we're also offering investment options, meaning that if you don't know how to trade but you want to get involved in trading, you can find a TAM, or you can invest in an ETCF. Or if you are a trader and you want some additional revenue source, you can actually start a TAM and trade for other people. Or if you have a company and you like crypto, but maybe you want to tokenize something, you want to tokenize your company, you want to go through an ICO, you can do that with us too. Or if you have wallets and you have a bunch of wallets all over the place because you can't find one place you can store all your different wallets, and you need access to your crypto when you need it, well, we have a debit card that we can serve you with that. So what we're trying to do is become a simplified gateway so that we're easy to use. Simplification means that the support is great too, but we're simple to use, and we offer all these different services under one umbrella, and we expand those services over time, meaning that at some point we have merchant services, we have payment services, bill pays, all kinds of things that can happen over time based on this singular platform. So look, when you start out in a business, yeah, there's other exchanges that have been around longer. Great. And we will at some point start to actually have to compete about pricing, because this type of crazy pricing you see in this industry is not going to last forever. And that's great too. Again, you shouldn't look at it as competition, right? Because no one's going to take all market share. It's impossible. Right now the market's small and you still don't have one overwhelming market share. You still have 3, 4, 5 guys that kind of share market share. And that's in a market that's 100th the size of really any other market on the planet. Obviously it has potential to grow much larger. But you need competition. So you need people in the space. You need more than one exchange. But yeah, our key focus here is simplification. Every time what I want people to think of when they think of CoinMetro is simple. Simplification, easy. That I can go on, take my debit card, my credit card, my e-banking, move money on the platform. It's there almost instantly. I'm trading. The GUI is nice and easy. 1, 2 clicks. I'm in and out. It's visual. I like it. It makes it fun. The experience is fun. It's gamified. I get some achievements unlocked here or there. I get some rewards. I'm able to chat in the community. I'm able to chat on the community of my favorite tokens, my favorite coins, my favorite altcoins. See what's going on. Get some insight. Trade when I want to trade. Hang out and chat when I don't. Invest some funds that I made from trading. Move some funds into an ETCF. Put them into a TAM. Maybe even, hey, I got this business site, all that into one platform, and really a place where people can kind of, spend a part of their day hanging out and talking crypto. But trade and spend money and deposit money all in one place. Hey, Matt. Sure, I understand. Look, when you're inside everything every day, you see it from a different angle, right? So, we did some AMAs, we did some things, but, time is time. So unfortunately, nobody has extra time, right? We only have the time that's allotted to us. So it can make things difficult. But either way, look, I like to do these things, and I plan to do them, and I'm going to do them as much as I possibly can. I really do enjoy it, and I like getting the feedback. It only helps us. Vein. Opening of new flash sale would really hurt company itself, even that last flash sale. Yeah, I know. Like I said, there's both sides. The community has both sides. So some people in the community think it's a bad idea. Some think it's a great idea. I can see the pros and cons on both sides. Again, I just wanted to see feedback. So we're getting it, and that's great. And I hope we continue to get it so that we can see really where the overwhelming majority lies. Which partnership? Digibyte, how come? Digibyte partnership was announced in Telegram. I believe it was announced on social media as well. Should have been announced in the updates channel. Maybe it wasn't. If it wasn't, we'll make sure that's corrected in the future. Thanks for pointing that out, Carol. Hear you, Matt. Hear you 100%, and I appreciate the honesty there. And I'm going to work on team update, and obviously the license is important to us as well, especially once we can announce localized banking and that license all in one package. That'll be a cool day with maybe a bit of a celebratory dance around the office. I'm founder of OursPay. We are airdropping to all EOS holders our Hours token. Could you please support this airdrop? We are contributors to your project since the early days. Hey, Jared, you might have already contacted me on this, and I apologize if I haven't gotten back to me. Email me, please. I don't really want to announce. I mean, my email is kind of easy to figure out. It's my name at CoinMetro, so there it is. Email me. I'll make sure it gets to the right person, and we'd love to support if things seem like a good fit for us for sure. So please reach out to me and let me know, and we'll have a talk. Hey, Carol. Yeah, look, beat that dead horse all you want, Carol. Beat it till it comes back to life and starts running around, grows new hair and a unicorn horn. Yeah, look, like I said, marketing was a failure point for us, and I focused a lot of attention over the last couple of weeks on beating that dead horse so that you don't have to. So yeah, I agree, and we're gonna reshape that. And we've been reshaping it actually, and it will get better. I guarantee it. So Jason doesn't want me to dance, so I'll write that down, check mark on make sure I don't. Nobody really wants to see me dance, I don't think, but it could be comical at least. You might get a laugh out of it. Hey Bastian, yeah, look, if we don't get the Estonia license, we get another license. Either way, here in Estonia, we don't really have we don't have what you would call licensable activities. This office is actually run by our holding company, which is administrative 100%. So we did that for a reason, obviously, risk mitigation. So if the license wasn't granted, that we wouldn't have to move out of Estonia or leave. We just simply need to look for additional licensing, which we already are doing. So we are looking, and we do have multiple people actually researching and looking for, and in the process of applying for different licenses around the world. Yeah, Carmen. We're looking at a tool right now that we can actually use our community. So Telegram, more than likely, an app that actually allows us to take that community, the power of that community, and then issue polls and surveys and all these wish lists and all these things directly into the community. So you can bet we're going to be issuing a lot of polls and surveys, and that might be one of them in the coming future. So great idea, and great minds think alike. So we already had this idea, and it's already kind of in play right now. Yep, I'm sitting in the new office. I'm not going to be able to show you. I'm sitting in the 4th floor conference room. This little ledge over here above me is the 4th and a half floor, and then we have the 5th floor and the 6th floor. Next week I'll try to do a walk around so you guys can see, because we still have some things we need to finish as far as decoration and stuff like that goes in the office. So we don't have a relation with LHV. We're currently in the process of attempting to open an account with LHV, and that's an ongoing process. Though they are the only real bank that deals with crypto companies inside of Estonia. and they do have some knowledge about the crypto space, and they run a pretty professional outfit. So anyway, we're back and forth right now with them. So the relationship we have right now is applicant and I don't even know what the other side of that relationship would be, but so yeah, not much of a relationship yet, but there are channels open, communication channels open as we speak. XCM will be tradable once our beta launches. Right now, we're looking at an approximate 4-week time frame for that to happen. Malta. I could talk for a long time about Malta, but I'll give you a quick rundown. Malta brought in gambling because they needed it back 20 years ago because they needed some revenue. They became a gambling hub. It actually made them kind of tarnish their reputation throughout Europe initially. They then tried to do the same for Forex and failed. And now they're trying to do it for blockchain. No laws have actually been written. They have a few papers on what they want to do. Nothing's actually been passed. The problem is that if you, for instance, have an FX license in Malta, you can't bank in Malta anymore. Bank of Valletta was the only choice, and now Bank of Valletta isn't really accepting new applications. I fear that on the crypto side, even if the regulations are actually created and passed, that banking will be non-existent. And unfortunately, a Maltese license in the rest of Europe isn't worth much, unfortunately. So Malta isn't really my first choice. We are looking at Malta. We're looking at every possible option. Malta is one of those options. However, if I think of banking licensing, I think of, let's say, UK, Switzerland. That would help us with banking. When I think of overall crypto licensing, obviously Switzerland also falls in it. They haven't done anything yet either, but if they do, it would be a much better choice than Malta. So my opinion of Malta isn't that high. But again, and that's really because of the history of gambling, FX, and now crypto. They don't really have the best regulatory history when it comes to those, when it comes to what they've done in the past. And unfortunately, if a country, usually a lot of times the regulation's easier than the banking. So if you can get, but if you get regulation and you can't bank, what's the point of the regulation, honestly? Careers page. We are doing that actually. HR has been tasked with that, and we're looking for the best way to go about doing that. So great idea, yeah, it's in process right now. So careers page is definitely something. If you know of a good tool that we should be using for that career page, please email it to us, and we'll have a look. Looking at Zach's about the UI UX. So the issue we've had over this time is that we've had most of the developers working on the exchange itself, and we've had to pull developers off here and there to work on different things like KYC, for example. Actually, KYC for most people has been quite a breeze, though for some people it has caused some issues. We haven't focused all the attention on KYC because we've had to focus the attention elsewhere, and that's because the team simply isn't big enough yet, and we're expanding the team. So obviously, as we expand the team, that changes. And so maybe you'd like to hear a better answer than that, but that's the answer. The answer is simply that, we started with one developer, then we had 3, then we had 5, then we had 7, then we had 9, then we had 12. And the job is a big job. So as we expand with more developers, it means that we can focus developers on certain tasks where they're full-time on that task, where they can actually do what's needed, and we can make sure that there's supervision over those tasks. It's just time. It's time and getting the resources we need, which we're in the process of doing, and is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing thing, and it will continue to be ongoing throughout the life of the company. So this will be answered already. Apologies. Will the beta allow investors to use all simple options like deposit, withdrawal, or will it be a function? Initially we'll have a play money option, so you'll be able to kind of demo everything without actually having to put money in the system. Vane, look, over the weekend I'll see what I can pull up, and I'll post a few things with the caveat that they're not actually, let's say, final renders. But I will do that for you. So have a look at the updates channel probably towards the end Sunday afternoon. Because I do have Danny flying in Saturday, so Saturday is a full day for me. So is Sunday, so sometime toward the end of Sunday, I'll try to get those up for you. AMA is, Jesus, it's Friday, and AMA is answer my answer. Yeah, I got a brain freeze, guys. I apologize, but it's basically where you can come in and ask questions, and then somebody will answer them. Ask me anything. That's what it is. Ask me anything. There you go. Yeah, demo is part of is something that we recently decided to do. So yes, demo will be available, and it's something on the FX side that's quite commonplace for lead generation as well. Yes, Matt, that's our main goal, is to make sure simplification, and obviously the vast majority of things listed on our platform will be tokens. So yes. Hey Calvin, so technical update, at least for this week, because I just got this week off a couple meetings with our developers, is that we're looking at a 4-week timeline for the launch of the beta. I do plan on releasing, because I was just asked to, some general mock-ups of the exchange this weekend, late Sunday night probably, on our Telegram updates channel, and I will do that. That's at CoinMetro Updates on Telegram. They're not going to be final renders, because that's the reason why I haven't released them, because we haven't had something that I considered finalized, but I will release some. There's a lot of work that's been done. Point is that since we were late on this particular milestone, what we've tried to do is increase the amount of, let's say, overall code base that's being created for the exchange, so that the ETCF and TAM are partially already coded, so that they can stay on time, so to speak, as far as the roadmap is concerned. So while there's a bit of a delay, the delay should help us stay on track for the rest of the roadmap. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Concerning how long the play money beta will last, I think what we'll do, the play money beta, that's a tough question, because it depends on how the play money beta rolls out. But regardless, we do plan now to have a demo version forever. So people will be able to come on and demo the exchange without actually having to deposit money, for lead generation, and also so they can test out the product without having to actually open an account, and then base part of their decision on whether they should open an account on their demo experience. I see no one working in that office. Well, it's 6:45 in the evening here, so everybody left, except for me, because I'm here talking to you guys. And I actually started this at 5 p.m., so you'll probably saw maybe 1 or 2 people walking out, but most people tried to avoid the camera and duck down behind me to leave. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to do this during regular working hours, because, well, I have to work. There are people we have right now 10 people in this office, including myself, and we're looking to expand that to 25 to 30. We have 25 desks right now in the office, and 10 of them are filled. And hopefully 12 or 13 by the end of the month, because we have a few candidates that are on tap right now. So yeah, there's people here for sure. I'm not just here by myself, but again, this was kind of after hours. So I ask if on the ICO Express platform only XCM tokens will be used to partake in ICO sale. On the ICO Express, all ICO tokens will be valued in XCM. So that when you purchase, while you can use XCM, or you can use Euro, or you can use Bitcoin, we will make a transaction on the exchange to actually make that purchase in XCM, pushing demand for XCM. Again, XCM is a utility token on the platform. Everything you do on the platform basically revolves around XCM, so that we can push demand for the token and increase our burn rate overall. Put a CM sticker or something else on the window of your HQ. Yeah, outward stickers, I think we've actually asked about that here in the building. I'm not sure if we can even do it. If we can, we're going to do it, guaranteed. And then here around this, there'll be a lot of stickers. And eventually, I think we'll put some on the outer windows. But good point. We're waiting to see if the building will allow us to do so, because we have some ideas on what we want to do. But one of these days, I think we'll be able to sneak it in. Hey, Mats. So it's all about liquidity. I want to have fiat pairings and with all tokens, all. But there is the caveat there in how we deal with the liquidity situation. So we're currently mapping those things out, and we have a hire on tap that is going to help us do just that. So a guy that's basically been trading derivatives and futures and running desks his entire career, and risk mitigation and hedging and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, I want to see as many crosses as we can possibly have, but obviously you can't do that from day one, because you need to make sure that you have a liquidity solution, and it's something we're working on for sure. Rayhan, I'm 100% I don't do things unless I'm motivated about them. So I wouldn't have taken on the project if I wasn't motivated, and I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't motivated. 100% motivated and 100% positive. I think, and this may come off the wrong way, but I'm just going to be 100% honest with you guys. In this market right now, you can come out with a bad product and still take market share. So the fact that we're working to come out with a great product that has great customer support and that is supported by regulation, and that we're fully compliant, I think will push us to new heights. So yeah, I'm 100% motivated, and I wake up every day motivated. I come into the office every day motivated, and I leave every day motivated. And so does the rest of our staff, and I think that's super important, to be honest. Okay, guys, look, it's been an hour and 50 minutes, and I have a phone call actually in 11 minutes with a possible partnership actually, so I need to jump off this call, and I don't want to bore everybody too much when they have to go through this recording and try to find the good information amongst the Kevin babble. Look, I'm going to plan to do these every week, so hopefully I'll see some of you guys and some new faces here next week. Please jump on Telegram and see and ask that question that I asked openly here about possible flash sales. See what everybody says. I'd like to see their opinion. I will try to jump on Telegram tonight, but it probably won't happen because I have some things to do until pretty late in the evening. But I'll try to jump on then tomorrow if possible. But hey, guys, look, I'm glad everybody came. Thanks a lot for your continued support and patience. Look, I've been on both sides of business deals my entire kind of career, so I know how frustrating things can be when you don't know everything that's happening. And I'd love to be able to sit down and talk to you guys one-to-one and tell you everything that's happening every day, but then I never get anything done, unfortunately. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your support. I truly appreciate it. My job from every day from now until CoinMetro becomes #1 is to make sure you guys see that the support you gave to us and the devotion you have for CoinMetro wasn't wrongly placed. So anyway, thanks guys. I truly do appreciate it, and have a great weekend, and see you guys next week.